Hi everyone, Rachel here again, and I'm really excited to be doing some baking with you. This time I'm going to show you one of the 13 exclusive new recipes for EMEA, a new little cookbook. So this recipe, gingerbread man, a classic, particularly at Christmas time, gingerbread boys, girls, men, whatever they are. I'm going to make a slightly healthier version, of course, using the Herbalife products. The products I'm going to be using in these really delicious little biscuits are Tri-Blend Select Coffee Caramel Flavour. I'm going to be using 40 grams of that. I'm going to be using Beta Heart, 7.5 grams of that. And I'm going to be using Herbalife Nutrition Instant Beverage Lemon Flavour, half a teaspoon of that. These are such fun to make with all the families. You'll get the children involved, get everyone involved, and also really lovely as edible gifts and edible decorations. I'm going to show you how to hang them up. You can hang them from the Christmas tree or wherever you like. Okay, so you'll all have the ingredients, the recipes by now. So get all your ingredients out, get your apron on, and let's get baking. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to melt 100 grams of butter with 100 grams of treacle or molasses. So they're in a saucepan. Turn on the heat. There. And melt them together nice and slowly. Meanwhile, I'm going to whisk an egg while they're melting. I have an oven preheated to 180 degrees or fan oven 160. Or 350 Fahrenheit. Whisk the egg. And then mix together the dry ingredients. So I've got in here, in this bowl, I've got 175 grams of sifted wholemeal flour. So I always sift the wholemeal flour to get it nice and fine, but to get the goodness from the wholemeal flour. And then whatever's left in the sieve, the bits of bran, put them back into the bag of flour. They'll be used, once you mix it up with the rest of the flour. But you want to weigh the flour after it's been sifted. So 175 grams of sifted wholemeal flour. And I'm adding in 40 grams of Tri-Blend Select Coffee Caramel, which is going to give, of course, a lovely rich flavour to the gingerbread men. Boys, girls, stars, hearts. 7.5 grams of Beta Heart. And half a teaspoon of Herbalife Nutrition Instant Beverage Lemon Flavour. There. Okay. Mix those around together. And then add in 40 grams of dark brown sugar to help with a lovely rich flavour. Half a teaspoon of bread soda, bicarbonate of soda, baking soda, it's all the same thing. Half a teaspoon of that, and half a teaspoon of baking powder. 2 teaspoons of ground cinnamon. Lots of lovely spice in here, and this is just going to fill the kitchen and the house with these gorgeous spicy festive aromas, when the biscuits are baking. 2 teaspoons of ground ginger, like that. So I always put all the dry ingredients in and I use a whisk to mix them, just to break up any lumps in the brown sugar, get it all properly mixed. And then wait for the butter and the treacle or the molasses to melt. That smells good. There. Okay, once the butter and the treacle or the molasses have melted, turn off the heat and add the whisked egg into the butter and the molasses. If you can't find molasses in your supermarket, you'll find it in a health food shop. So pour it in. Transfer from that for the whisk to the spatula. Smells good already. Ooh, the treacle with the cinnamon and the ginger is so festive smelling. Just lovely. bring it together. And then just tip it out. And then you just start to knead it, just to bring it together a little bit more so that it's easier to roll. And it's a little bit warm, but that's nice. Lovely. So once it comes together nicely like that, just dust it with some flour to roll it. Take a rolling pin, and also I've got here parchment paper lined baking tray. So I've got a heart shape, I've got an elephant shape, not very Christmassy, but little Christmas tree, another heart, smaller heart, and some gingerbread, boys and girls. Okay. So then roll out the dough. And if you like, if you're in a bit of a rush, you want to get ahead, you can always make the dough a bit in advance, put it aside to rest, and come back and roll it another time, or you can bake these on one day and ice them the next day. They'll also freeze, of course. There. And keep scraping the bottom with a little bit more flour just to prevent them sticking. Lovely. They need to be about half a centimetre thick, like so, I think. There's nothing to get you into the mood for Christmas than doing a little bit of festive baking. There, a tiny little bit more. Oops. Okay, once it's evenly rolled out, I think that's good. And just cut them out. There. Some little gingerbread people. Some hearts. There. Little mini Christmas trees. Very cute. There. Oh look, I've got the elephant cutter. I'm going to do an elephant. And there. And then of course when you're finished cutting it out, you just roll up the scraps and roll out more biscuits. So then put these on your parchment paper lined tray or trays. Great. There. There. They're not going to spread very much. They puff up a little bit in the oven, but they're not going to spread really. So they can go quite close together. Little Christmas trees. I like these little biscuits like this. If you just feel like a tiny bit of a treat, little biscuit is perfect. Maybe a big heart. Okay, and the rest I'll put onto, oh look, I've got to put the elephant on this one. Another tray and bake those. So, as you can see, you get lots of lovely dough from this. There. I'm going to put them into the preheated oven, so 180 degrees or 160 fan. They're going to take about 18 to 20 minutes to cook. When they're cooked, it's difficult to judge by colour, of course, because they're dark anyway, but they want to feel dry around the edges and slightly dry in the centre. Okay. They smell so good. So now they're baked, and you can feel they're firm around the edges. They're cooked. So now it's time to take them off the tray. Oh, sorry. Actually, what I need to do is I want to show you how to maybe hang up one or two of them. So make a hole and a big-ish hole that you can string some thread through, like that, or some ribbon. And maybe I'll do that on, oh, maybe that one there, sorry. So make a hole for the ribbon or thread while they're nice and warm and soft, because they'll crisp up soon and you won't be able to do that if you wait. Oops, they crisp up quite quickly. Okay, so there. Make that hole a little bit bigger for some ribbon. Lovely. And I'm going to decorate these with some icing, just a simple glacé icing made with icing sugar and some water or lemon juice to drizzle over or to paint on little eyes and mouths. And, oops, a bit warm. While the biscuits are cooling, I'm going to make the little paper piping bag for the icing. Now, this is a good little technique to have in your repertoire. So, if you're cooking along with me, get a right angle triangle piece of parchment paper or greaseproof paper cut out. And then, to make this paper piping bag, or you can just use a little plastic bag and cut the corner off, but what you want to do is curl this down like there to make a lovely cone shape, and then bring it all the way around the back. Look, so you've got almost like a little fishtail there, and you've got a pointy end there. Actually, put it upside down then for you. And fold in the edges. So this is going to make a lovely little paper piping bag that I can pipe the icing through. Get some scissors. And I'm going to cut a tiny little snip off the end of this once the icing's in here. So that's ready to go. The biscuits are cooling. Some have holes on, some not. What I can do is actually just put maybe a little bit of ribbon through one of them. They cool and crisp up nice and quickly. There. Thread it through gently. And these are so cute to hang from the Christmas tree. Slightly higher up if you have dogs or cats in the house, as I have discovered. There. I normally do this before I ice them. One more. There. Tie a little knot. Like it's even just cute like that. So wait for it to cool and crisp up before you start tying ribbon or thread through it, ribbon or string through it, but you need to make sure that you make the hole in the biscuit while it's still hot, as soon as it comes out of the oven. So there's one, and then maybe I could use a little bit of cute little rustic string for this one. If I can get that through, brilliant. Oh. I'll try and get this end through. There. Okay. So next thing I need to do is there, to make the icing. So I've got 75 grams of icing sugar, or however much icing sugar you want to play with, and a little bit of water. So add just a little bit of water into the icing sugar, about half a tablespoon or so. And that might almost be enough. Do I need a tiny little bit more? I want this icing to be drizzling consistency. Now this is the kind of icing that if you add half a teaspoon too much liquid, it suddenly just gets far too wet. So then you just have to add more icing sugar to make it a little bit drier. Okay, that's a little bit dry. I'd like it to be slightly drizzling consistency, but holding its own mark. Drizzling. Yeah, I think that's good. Okay, so then spoon the icing into a little paper piping bag that you've made. If the paper piping bag has not been working for you, then you can just get a little plastic bag and cut a tiny corner out of the bottom of it once you have the icing in. So fill up the paper piping bag. So you can just make little designs like that, or let's take a little gingerbread man and give him eyes and a mouth, and maybe just little sleeves and there, or little bits of tinsel on the Christmas tree. So really the icing is just for a bit of decoration. You could use dark chocolate or white chocolate if you like. A few more here. Bum, bum. There. And there. So once you have decorated your gingerbread cookies, you can just serve them like this. Look, you can hang them up from a little branch. Once the icing has dried, very cute like that, from the Christmas tree. Oh, prickly holly. Or you could just put them on a little Christmassy plate. Dust them with icing sugar if you like. Look, that's so cute for hanging on the Christmas tree. There. And there. So there is something, a great little bit of baking that everyone can get involved in. And they are my very delicious Herbalife Nutrition gingerbread cookies. A little dusting of icing sugar, maybe a little bit of holly, and that's it. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you've had fun baking, and I hope you really enjoy the results.